What up, is Marcus Dynasty with Dads. We're doing the ADP risers. By the way, I have a new Twitter that's in the description box. I just put up my updated Dynasty rankings for 1QB and Super Flex. It's on Patreon if you're a Patreon supporter. So if you are one of those supporters, please look at those rankings. They have been updated. So we're going to go through 4 different people. We have 2 wide receivers, 1 running back, and 1 quarterback. The biggest ADP risers from early June now to mid-July here. So the first one we're going to go with, or first one that is happening, I should say. I'm not going to go with it. This is what's just happening in the Dynasty community. It is Jarvis Landry. So previously he was wide receiver 80. If you look at wide receiver 80, that is pretty much, you're looking at a super deep flyer. We're talking about a guy who's had 4 top 15 finishes in his career and potentially the number 1 target on the New Orleans offense. There is big question marks on Michael Thomas's return. There are big question marks on Alvin Kamara's suspension. Not only Jameis Winston's injury return, the New Orleans offense is going to be a very interesting offense, very interesting looking offense. And you also have, which we may be talking about somebody else in that offense, Mr. Chris Olave. He's a rookie, so it might take for him some time to get into that offense. And so you're looking at Jarvis Landry, who I actually really like the first couple of weeks of the season. And when you're talking about wide receiver 80, now wide receiver 59, which is a big jump, it's a 6th-round jump. I am okay with actually that move because Jarvis Landry, 29 years old. He feels like he's 33 years old. But when we look at a wide receiver compared to like an Adam Dillon and stuff, or some other wide receivers that are beyond that age of 30, I think Jarvis Landry is a decent buy here. And you're looking at an offense that may try to tame Jameis Winston down. And so I think Jarvis Landry at wide receiver 59 is worth a flyer. Now, if he starts moving up any further, I'm going to have an issue with that. I'm going to have a hard time buying him. But again, there are wide receivers that are 29, 30, 31 that I am okay with buying, whether his name is DeAndre Hopkins, whether his name is Jarvis Landry or Adam Dillon. They're good buys for a contending team, and I think Jarvis Landry is one of them. The next one is one that I am a big fan of. It's A.J. Dillon. He's 24 years old. And even on the Garbage Time Dynasty podcast, or their YouTube channel, I talked about A.J. Dillon. I talked about the NFC North. One of the questions posed is, will he be a top 24 running back in 2022? He was in 2021, and I think we almost forget that he was RB23 in 2021. And so when you look at that, you almost think, okay, well, that's probably his floor for 2022. I mean, we look at his snap percentages. He had 5 games of over 50% snaps. So let's just say you might see a little bit of A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones on the same field, but let's say you don't believe that 50%, or you think it's going to be just that, but nothing more. You're not going to see 60, 70, 80% of snaps. Well, good. That's okay, because A.J. Dillon saw 1 game of 55% snaps or more. 1 game. That is it. And so if you have a running back that's going to be 30, 40, 50% snaps, which he saw last year quite often, you're going to have a guy that had 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. Yes, 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. He went from 78 overall to 62 overall, and he's a 24-year-old running back that I think they're going to use a ton. And I think they're going to use Aaron Jones actually a lot as well. I think the Devontae Adams move almost saves Aaron Jones, because I feel like Aaron Jones is going to be used a ton in the passing game, and A.J. Dillon was going to start taking over that role of being the goal line and the power back. And so we'll see if that ends up being fruition. I know they like to use Aaron Jones around the goal line as well, but I think you're going to see 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. And you're talking about an RB23 this year, and we'll see a year older of Aaron Jones, if he can even hold up, or if he's starting to hit the cliff here. I mean, you might have a running back that has that entire backfield to himself next year. So 62 overall, a 78 to 62 overall jump is warranted. Like, it is warranted, I believe. So the next player we're going to do is a receiver. Of course, it's a receiver that I just kind of mentioned before. It is Chris Olave. Now, he actually dropped from April to May, and I have a theory of why that would be. In Dynasty, I believe that you look at Sky Moore and Christian Watson, and immediately you see Kansas City and Green Bay, and you have to almost jump and pounce on those receivers versus New Orleans, which sounds kind of boring, even though that Chris Olave was drafted before. And so when we have Chris Olave is almost not necessarily a boring receiver, but he doesn't have any, I would say, elite attributes in the athleticism compartment. He is a wonderful route runner and probably an elite route runner, but when we look at jumping, yards after catch, high point ball, speed, speed. I mean, he ran in the 4.3s, high 4.3s. So I mean, he has potentially elite speed, but doesn't really show it necessarily on the field, more in the route running category. So I think that's why Chris Olave jumped or moved down, because I mean, you look at Christian Watson, you're talking about 6'4", 208, 210 pounds, and can just fly and jumps out of the building. And then you look at Sky Moore, who's on the Kansas City offense, which everyone always wants the number one option. They see, oh my goodness, Tyreek Hill gone, Kelsey getting older, and there's that huge gap there. And so Chris Olave has moved down, and now he's starting to move back up. So his ADP now, he moved basically a whole couple of round or two here. He's if I can actually talk, wide receiver 29, 56 overall, too sweet for my blood. So this is one of the receivers that I understand that 56 is, it's up there. I mean, we're talking about that is even over AJ Dillon. And I look at Chris Olave and I look at the difference between like him and Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is in the 70s. You even have wide receivers like Judy, and it's like you're taking Chris Olave over players that are already determined to be successful. And I think there's some big question marks on Chris Olave yards after catch. He is an excellent route runner and separator, but they have Jarvis Landry, and they might have Michael Thomas, and they might have Kamara for half the season. And so really Chris Olave might do well, but I have some big questions about that. And that's why Chris Olave has actually still been kind of slowly moving down my board, because I look at him and I go, okay, he's great at separating, but how many 8-yard catches am I going to get? I'm going to get a Cole Beasley type of score. I'm going to have a Hunter Renfrow, an excellent route runner, but doesn't necessarily give you a ton after the catch. I think Chris Olave is very in that same category. You're going to need a ton of targets, a ton of volume. And can he get that in New Orleans offense? And can he get that with Jameis Winston? We will see. But I am going to kind of hold my breath there. And I wouldn't draft him at 56. I'd be seeing him in the 70s, where I think he should be. But I would have him more in the category with, again, Christian Watson and Sky Moore, and they're being drafted afterwards in most leagues. And so the last player we're going to talk about is Jalen Hurts, and so he's also moved a whole round up, and this is one QB, but think about Superflex as well, the implications that this brings. ADP of 91 overall, and he's QB 7 overall, so he's moving up in QB rankings as well. And so if we're moving up in QB rankings, we're moving up in Superflex rankings. Here's the biggest thing. There's the two arguments of Jalen Hurts. He's 23. He just finished off of being QB 9, and he has A.J. Brown now, a part of that roster, and another year of Devontae Smith. He has Dallas Goedert, and he has Miles Sanders, and he has Kenneth Gainwell, is actually a really good receiving back out of the backfield. He has everything. On the other hand, you have a guy who had a 16-9 touchdown to interception ratio, so basically he didn't throw many touchdowns. He didn't throw a ton of yards, and he had 10 rushing touchdowns, which saved his butt. Will that happen again, or will some of these go to Miles Sanders, or will some of these go to Kenneth Gainwell, or will some of these rushing touchdowns, that are 6 points per rush, go into a passing touchdown? So maybe he has 20 and he has 5 rushing or 6 rushing, because that's what usually Dak Prescott gets. So we'll give him a 6. We'll give him a Dak Prescott score. And so we just lost points. We just took 4. Now we just lost 8 points. So we just lost another 200 yards passing. 200 yards passing? Yeah, we lost another 200 yards passing. It's like, it's one of those things that I think Jalen Hurts, there's 2, and we don't know about his QB long-term longevity. If we knew that Jalen Hurts, if Philadelphia Eagles were committed to him and said, hey, he's going to be our quarterback for the next couple of years, I think he would be right next to Dak. Honestly, I think he would, just because of his mobility and his weapons around him. But he's also 23, and there's a little bit more concern of his passing versus Dak is a much better passer. But we just don't know the longevity. And so QB 7 is very, very tough for me to actually swallow. I usually end up passing on them. I do. I really do, because I am concerned about the longevity. Now, if you're looking for a quarterback in redraft, or if you're looking at a quarterback for just a short-term amount, I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a decent fantasy finish for 2022. NFL-wise, I think it's going to be rocky. I think it's going to be up and down. It's just going to depend. I mean, the division is weak. I mean, you look at the Giants, they're eh. You look at the Commanders, I almost said Washington football team, they're eh. Dallas, I think, is going to still be good, but they just lost Amari Cooper, and so we'll see exactly what Dallas ends up doing in another year of Zeke and Pollard and stuff getting older, and another year of Dak getting older, but it doesn't matter as much. But I'm just saying the division is a little bit weaker, and so it's probably the weakest division, I would say, potentially in all of football. I mean, well, let's see, Jags, Colts, Houston, and who's the other one? Who's the other division? Oh, Tennessee. That is probably one of the weakest. I would say that's the weakest division. That's up there. I mean, Tennessee, I think, is going to have a huge dip down just based off of losing A.J. Brown. I think they kind of hit lightning in a bottle. I mean, the Vikings with Case Keenum, they, I think, were 13-3 one year, and then the next year they had a better roster, but I believe they got worse. Their record got worse. I think Tennessee's going to get worse. I think Houston's going to get slightly better. I think Jacksonville's going to get better. And you look at where Houston, Jacksonville, Colts. And the Colts are going to be the Colts. They're going to have Matt Ryan. They're going to go 500, and I don't think they're going to be much different than what they were previously. I think you're looking at a team that's going to be basically maybe slightly better than Carson Wentz. So again, I don't know where I got off on this tangent. But we're gonna do Dynasty Fallers tomorrow. So so peek out on that video, and then follow me on Twitter. It's I think Dynasty_Dad1, something like that. So whatever it says in the description box, because I'm going to be posting more stuff on that. So if you're not following that, and you can ask me questions on there, because we're going to be starting doing more Dynasty trade episodes here. All right, this is Marcus Dynasty with Dads. Peace out. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.